What is up? How you doing? This is your host, Andre Günther, and you're listening to another episode of the Foreigner Podcast. The podcast that is all about topics related to being an exchange student or host family, or just going abroad to live in a different country for some time, or maybe for the rest of your life. So, thank you for listening very much. And I don't want to do the usual ad part now because you know the drill by now. But what I've got to say though is that still you can sign up for my monthly newsletter on my website and receive a link to Mediafire where you can download my ebook for free. Yes, I wrote an ebook. I already said it in some of the other episodes. It's called 5 Itches. No, it's not called that. It's called The 5 Worst Exchange Student Itches Scratched. So, I was writing the book and talking about 5 common problems that exchange students face. And I solved them and explained them. So, if you are interested in that, just sign up for the monthly newsletter. It's really not a lot. It's just 1 email per month, just giving you the lessons learned of the episodes from the past month. It's really short. It's not that much of a listening part. And you get the link to the ebook. So definitely do sign up there. Also, send me your questions at theforeignerpodcast@gmail.com. And I will answer them with an email to you, or maybe do an episode about it if it is a big enough of a question and I think that many people can benefit from it. So if you do have any questions, please send them to me at theforeignerpodcast@gmail.com. But okay, that's already it for the ad part of this episode. So let's get on with the structure of today's episode. So I did kind of an episode again where I had multiple things to talk about. Today I selected 2 topics which don't go along with each other, like at all. But I really like those kind of topics, or those 2 topics especially. So I wanted to put them in this episode, which I think is going to be a really cool episode. So first of all, I'm going to be talking about winter in Minnesota, because I was an exchange student in Minnesota, and maybe there's someone listening who's going to be an exchange student to Minnesota as well. I just want to explain the winters in Minnesota. And also that's a question I frequently get from like German people when I tell them, yeah, I was in Minnesota. And they're like, okay, where is that? I say it's in the US and in the middle, it's very northern and central on the border to Canada. Like, oh, that must be cold. How's the winter there? So I decided, hey, Andre, you should make an episode about it. But it was not quite enough to make an entire episode, so I also got my second topic of today, which is gonna be social media during your exchange. So as you see, winter and social media, not really 2 things that have anything in common, but I think this episode is gonna be quite interesting for lots of people, and I hope it is interesting for you as well. Again, if you have any questions, send me an email. And then, of course, there's also going to be the item of the episode and the quote of the episode, which I selected some pretty cool stuff. Okay, let's get it on. The winter in Minnesota. Well, when I was there, so winter 2016 to 2017, I actually had a pretty decent winter. It was both cold, like we had 2 or 3 weekends where it got really Minnesota cold, but the rest of the time it was pretty mild, and people were saying that's not a real Minnesotan winter. But I mean, global warming is affecting everyone, isn't it? I would say the winter was pretty mild because we didn't have too much snow, but we had snow for most of the time. But we never had a real blizzard or anything, or dangerously much snow. But there was a time where there was a lot of snow, and then it got so cold that there was no humidity in the air, and also not above us in the air, so there could not be any more downfall of snow, but the snow that was on the ground would melt away. So we just had that old snow laying around and being snow. But that was pretty okay, because once the roads were cleared, they didn't get full with snow and ice anymore. Well, ice a little bit, but not that much of snow. And when I say that we had lots of snow on some days, before all the roads were clean and there was no more snow, but when it snowed, people always say, oh my god, you must have gotten off so many days of school because of snow. You must have gotten so many snow days. Well, that was actually not the case, because here are the snow day rules in Minnesota. So I was told, I'm not 100% sure if that's correct, but that's what everyone told me, that the rule was when the buses couldn't get to school because of all the snows, the school would start 2 hours later, so that there was more time for the plowing of the streets to happen, or maybe snow to melt, and buses to be able to collect the children from their houses and bring them to the school. And then if the buses would still not be able to get through the snow, in like the case of really bad blizzard, then there would be a snow day and school would be called off for the day. But that never happened to me. So we only had like 2 or 3 times where they would start school 2 hours late. And then we had shorter periods and still would end class at the same time that we usually would. And I already said it kind of a bit earlier. I said that there was still ice on the roads or ice on the crosswalks. And that was a really funny thing. Like, there were several days where I stepped foot outside of the car of my good friend who brought me to school and immediately just fell down because there was ice. And then I would stand up, gather all my stuff from the car, like get on my jacket and my backpack, walk a few steps, and boom, lay down again because it was still so icy. And I think the top was on the, I would say, like 20 meters to the door of the school from the parking spot. I fell like 3 times. I think that's the biggest record I can say. Yeah, falling 3 times just because it was so icy and the ice was just so thick and everywhere. It was a miracle that we even all got safe to the school. But I mean, hey, I didn't hurt myself, so I guess it's fine. But if I say that there was ice everywhere, that means that the temperatures must have been really cold. And that's actually the case. I would say normally we had between minus 15 and minus 20 degrees Celsius. But it got so cold that it was like when all the Minnesotans were like, oh yeah, now it's a Minnesotan winter, that we got up to minus 40 degrees. That was one weekend where it was that cold. And it was insanely cold. Like, you have no idea. If you haven't been to such a place, you have no idea how cold it can be. Like, when you stepped outside of a car, the air was just so cold and dry because cold air can't hold humidity. It was so dry that you immediately had to start coughing. Then your throat would hurt because the air you just were breathing in for coughing is cold. And immediately your noses would freeze. So you couldn't breathe through your nose anymore because it was just blocked by ice. And that's what happened whenever you stepped foot outside of your house or the car. And I will talk about all of that just in a little bit, but first I want to say something else that has to do with winter, and that's the winter depression. And that was actually a thing for me because, I mean, first of all, winter is around that time of like Christmas and stuff where lots of exchange students have a harder time because of like homesickness and stuff like that. So, of course, it was already somewhat of depressing, but then not having light, not being able to go outside a lot, and just, yeah, going to school when it's dark, leaving school when it gets dark, that's not cool. And that can give you somewhat of a winter depression, and that actually happened. But there are lots of things to get your mind off being sad, and I'll talk about that in just a bit. But first, as I already said, I wasn't able to go outside a lot because, I mean, it was freezing cold. So you were basically just locked in the house, or you would leave the house, go to the car, drive somewhere, leave the car, and immediately go inside to the next house. There were no real outside activities that much. But if you could go out because it wasn't as cold and you were packed in warm clothes, like when it was minus 15 degrees Celsius, I mean, you could go out. It was okay. when it was minus 40 degrees, I would not go outside, but the minus 15 degrees, it's okay. You'll get used to it. And then when you were outside, the landscape, oh my God, so beautiful. Just the white trees everywhere with all the snow and all the frozen lakes, because Minnesota is called the land of 10,000 lakes, but actually has more than 11,000 lakes. So there's lakes and ponds and water piles everywhere. And they were all frozen, and it was so beautiful. And you would like see fresh snow if it had snowed in the night, and you would see the tracks of animals that walked through there, and it was just so picturesque. Oh, yeah, it was really cool. And as I already said, the frozen lakes, they were pretty sick. And we had this pond, which I was talking about in an episode earlier, where I went to walking around and listening to my podcasts. There was actually someone one day that was walking over the frozen lake and had written, "Have a good day," in the snow with his footsteps. And that was just really beautiful, because I was like walking, I was really happy that I could walk. It was on a Sunday, I think, and there was actually sun outside, so I could walk, bathe in sun, and then someone wrote, "Have a good day," in the snow. That was so beautiful. And that's a thing that happens in Minnesota. Minnesotans are somewhat like Canadians. Like, they are nice people. Oh my God, that's so stereotypical. I'm sorry. Okay, let's move on from there. So, I already gave a glimpse of it, but winter is also a cultural event. So there's gonna be lots of stuff happening in the winter that is based around winter, and that lots of people attend because it's just part of the culture. And for Minnesota, that is ice hockey. Minnesotans are crazy about ice hockey, and they're just playing it whenever they can. And especially when it's winter, you'll see people playing on lakes sometimes, but of course on the rinks, and they have outside rinks as well. So playing ice hockey and going to ice hockey games is a big part of winter, and people are really excited about that. Now, also a thing that kind of contradicts what I said earlier with "it's too cold, you can't go outside." Well, they do polar plunges. So they cut holes in the ice on the river and jump in it. They jump into the frozen river when they cut to the not frozen water anymore. And I mean, that's a thing they do in Germany as well, but I've never actually seen them cut out a piece of ice to jump in. It would just be like when it was fairly above freezing temperature on the sea that they would run in, just have a quick bath and then run out of the water. But no, these people like actually jump into an ice hole in the ice that they just cut free. So that was pretty amazing to see on the TV. I thought about doing it as well, but because I was too scared, and all of them are like connected to charity and donating, I never got the chance, because as a poor exchange student, I couldn't like pay a lot to a charity in order to participate. And I had one thing scheduled where I could just join a team of my school, but that didn't work out. So yeah, that was kind of sad, but I think that I wouldn't have had the guts to do it anyway, because I'm really scared of cold weather. I don't like it. I don't like it when it's cold. I prefer summer. But hey, anyway. In winter, there was also lots of sledding, because Minnesota doesn't have that many hills, but if there is a hill, then people are gonna sled on it all the time, and especially the kids. And me and my host dads, we actually went tubing, so instead of a sled, we used a tube. Or tube, well, a wheel of tube. So like, I don't know how to like properly say it. We called it tubing. So it was, yeah, a wheel made out of a tube, and we would blow it up with little air blowers that we had to actually blow up the wheels for the car, but we just blew up the tubes and went down a hill on that. And that was really cool. It was up in northern Minnesota near Bemidji, I think. Yeah, near Walker, Bemidji, which I'll be talking about later as well. But yeah, so we went tubing. That was pretty cool. And of course, a thing that they do up near Duluth, which is in the very north of Minnesota, or well, fairly north, which actually is an old mining city, and I'll be talking about that a little bit more. Duluth is an older city in the north of Minneapolis, where there's lots of industry for mining and stuff, and it's on the Great Lake, on one of the Great Lakes. I think Lake Superior it is. And it was once meant to be the second Chicago because it was easy accessible, but the cold winters made it kind of difficult because the lakes could freeze and boats weren't able to reach Duluth, so that never worked out. But in Duluth and around Duluth and Bemidji, there's a lot of... Bemidji is also a city in the north, but that's not on the lakes. Lots of people went ice fishing, and so they would get a hut, sit on the lake, drill a hole, and fish for the fishes under the ice. And that's a thing they do in Minnesota quite a lot. And I mean, that's pretty sick. I've never experienced it because I'm not that much of a fisherman, but I can imagine it being pretty cool. Oh no, I just dropped something. Hey. Anyway, I already said the name Walker, Minnesota. So that's a small city near Duluth, known for its fireworks. They have a lake there, Leech Lake, and in all Minnesota people talk about it. When Leech Lake freezes, if it does completely freeze, people would drive their cars and trailers on it to just chill on the lake and watch gigantic firework. But for the last years, because of global warming, the Leech Lake wouldn't freeze properly, so for the last years, no cars were allowed on the lakes, and sometimes even not the huts or cabins they would bring there. But they always did the firework, and that is a really cool thing to see. I sadly didn't get to see it, but I watched YouTube videos of it. And I mean, watching YouTube videos of firework is always kind of meh, because you can't feel the explosions like you can when you really watch firework. But it looked really beautiful. So all Minnesota was talking about it. And they were like, oh, so you're in Minnesota, right? You're gonna stay for the winter, right? Oh, you gotta go up there to Walker and see the firework. But, well, sadly, I didn't get to see it. And Walker is near Duluth, which, again, I have some things that happen there for you. So a thing that happens in Duluth is Bentleyville, which I actually got to see. So they take a small area in the city where there's free, it's a park, and they build up huge constructions of LED lights. So it's like a passage you can go through, and they have like LED lights everywhere. They have a giant Christmas tree only of LED lights. Everything is LED lights, and they give out free popcorn, and they give you the stuff to make s'mores, which is cookie, chocolate, a roasted marshmallow, and a cookie on top, and you eat that, and it's so amazing. S'mores are so great. Oh my god. But that's not what I want to talk about. Bentleyville is also very great because it's so wonderful to see. They let you in when it's dark, so you only see the LED lights, and it is amazing. You gotta Google it. It's like Bentley and then Ville. One word. Google it. It's amazing. And a not so amazing thing about Duluth is the sliding cars. So what could that be? Well, Duluth is one of the rare areas in Minnesota where there's actually mountains. And Duluth is mostly built on a mountain or hill, and it's very steep. And as I already said, there's lots of ice on the streets. So in Duluth, it happens that cars, when they try to go up or down the hill, they just start sliding down the hill. And you can't control them. They're just sliding down. And there are lots of YouTube videos about it. You can also Google that. Just Google for cars ice Duluth. DULUTH. It's amazing to see that, because the cars are just driving and then they suddenly just get faster and faster, and you see their tires stop moving and they just keep on sliding down. And they like go in reverse to like drive backwards, but they just keep on sliding. It's so amazing to see. And most of the time nobody gets hurt, but you like would see them drive into crosswalks or stuff like that. Yeah. That's it for Duluth, and as I already said a little earlier, you're locked inside the house most of the time, so that's a good part about the winter. You can play games inside with family or friends, and you can have some bonding experiences over a nice board game, or even a computer game, or just chilling with your friends. And that's a helpful thing, because in the group there's always this one person, that's usually me, that wants to go outside and go for a walk, and like maybe one or two people join, and then some people want to go get some food, and then the group split up. But in winter, that's not that easy to do. So you'll just chill in the house and play some games and have some great time together. And of course, take great pictures with your friends, and when you can, go outside and take pictures of the beautiful nature. It's amazing to see. It's just really great. And take those pictures as kind of memories and souvenirs that make you remember the great time you might have had during winter. And if not, then well, remember the time you had. Remember that you had time. Take pictures, and maybe you won't remember winter as a great thing, but the friends you will take the pictures with. And that should be it for winter. Yes, we're through. If you have any questions concerning winter in general or winter in Minnesota, send me an email, as I said earlier this episode. Now let's get to the second topic of today's episode, which is gonna be social media during your exchange. First of all, it's a trap. Yes, you will be wanting to use it to stay in contact with friends and family at home, but it's a trap. Don't. It makes contact and staying in touch so easy, but it can be so dangerous. So you need to keep yourself conditioned and in check to not just constantly run to your phone to contact home, because it is important that you spend time with the people in your host country. And I think I already talked about that a lot in previous episodes. It's important that you spend all your time and all your energy on your exchange country or on your host country, because you only have 1 year. So that's the important thing. And when you are on your phone, people will think that you don't want to spend time with them, or that you'd rather want to be home. And that's not a good sign to show. But also, there's a good part about social media. You can use it to make contacts with the people there. Like, check your Facebook recommendations for people who you talk to in school. And once you have like 1 or 2 friends, then it will get more and more, because the algorithm of Facebook checks, oh, he likes those people and they have mutual friends, so maybe this person, and you'll find more and more people that you actually talk to in school, and you can connect with them on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on whatever service you or the people there use. And if you connect on Instagram, then take pictures with them, or even on Facebook. And that always, of course, depending on your and their own privacy handling. So if they don't want to be on Instagram or Facebook and don't want their faces up there, then don't take pictures of them and just upload them without their consent. That is not cool and actually punishable. It's illegal. But yeah, if they are cool with it and you're cool with it, then take pictures together. That's a great way to bond with them. And to, of course, make memories and keep those memories. So show that you're fun to be around, and more people will spend time with you. Because when you upload pictures of you having a great time with some of your friends, and some of their friends see it, they'll think, oh, they're having lots of fun. I want to have fun with them too. That person sounds pretty chill or looks pretty cool. So that will make more people interested in hanging out with you. And that's always a good thing. And of course that sounds weird, like manipulating people in order to spend more time with you, but it's not that weird and it actually works. So definitely try it out. If you feel like you don't spend enough time with friends, then just start showing that you spend time with friends and that you are a chill person to be around, so they will try to be around you because you seem to be a chill person. And then of course, be a cool person. And now you can also, as I already said, use social media to document your exchange. That's what I did. I had my Facebook account where I would upload or have people taking pictures with me and tag me in them when we did cool things or went to cool places. So my host parents usually did that for me. So we took Facebook pictures together, and that is usually a thing that is as well for your host country as for your home countries, because you can use it to passively update your people at home. So they can see what you're doing, and your friends, as I already said, in your host country can see that you do cool stuff and can comment on that and be happy about it. And your parents and family at home can see that you're having a good time as well. So that's a win-win situation. But also with that power, watch out on what to like, what to say online, and what to do. Because your host family or friends, they may get upset, or your real family at home, they can get upset. So please watch yourself and don't upload anything that could be offensive or like anything that could be offensive to anyone. Also, don't spam other people's timelines. Nothing is worse than seeing 10,000 pop-ups and like, what's the word? Like, yeah, the pop-ups when someone on Facebook liked something and you see, oh, that person liked that and that and that and that and that. And you just see your whole timeline being spammed with someone liking everything they see on Facebook. Don't be that person. That's gonna get people annoyed. Also a thing, in Instagram, tag friends in memes. Tagging Americans in memes is a great way to make friends and have fun together. Yeah, kind of. They will like it if you tag them in really dank memes. So if you see some good memes, tag them there. Also, a thing that kind of correlates with the don't spam or watch out what to post thing, do not rant on Snapchat or stuff like that. It is not your duty to rant about things and to act like you know everything better than everyone in your host countries. That's gonna get people upset. So don't just go around ranting and complaining about everything. And we're through with the social media part as well. And I hope that winter and social media were interesting topics for you. And now let's get to the quote of the episode. Today I have a pretty cool quote. It says, "If you only read the books that everyone else is reading, you can only think what everyone else is thinking." It's by Haruki Murakami. He's a Japanese author. And I really like that quote because it encourages you to step outside your comfort zone and to make different experiences than the others. Like, the books are the experiences, and the things that we're thinking is how we act as people. That's at least how I understand the metaphors. So it kind of works for exchange students as well, because we do have different experiences, and we as persons are different than people who have not been on an exchange. And that's not like an elitist thing where I say we're better, but I just say we're different and we have different backgrounds, and we should embrace those different backgrounds and use them. We shouldn't try to like fit in, or when we're back at home, make that part smaller in us because now we're home and now it doesn't count anymore. It's become a part of you, and you should make the best of it. Be yourself and make the best of it. Yeah, that's kind of a thing that I want to add to this quote. And now let's get to the item of the episode at the end. Today I have another book. I already had the first book a few episodes ago. It was called Exchange Student Survival Kit. So today I have the correlating book, Host Family Survival Kit. So it gives lots of information for host families, like how to be a good host family, and they explain lots of the problems that host families can run in. So if you are planning to be a host family, or if you want to understand your own host family better, definitely feel free to check out this book and buy it off my website, where there will be a ad built in from Amazon, and it may even be discounted. We'll see. It's with a affiliate link, so if you buy it, I'll get commission and it won't be any more expensive to you. And it would be really great if you could help me with that. And yeah, just growing my podcast, reaching more people, and spreading the knowledge about exchange and being an exchange person, exchange student. Thank you very much for listening to this episode as well. I think we did a pretty good job on the time. And as always, please share and like and comment and follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you very much. Goodbye. See you next episode.